Hi, this is Grant, and this is a UX video walkthrough showcasing the new UI for roster list and the crew drill down. I'm walking through this URL today, which is, I'm highlighting there. And for the purposes of this walkthrough, I'm going to collapse the left nav for Azure, but just to provide some reference, we're looking at the third iteration for roster UI offers list, and then also the crew drill down corresponding to that. So let's get started. So first and foremost, the search and filters bar has been consolidated into one bar, and it's greatly reduced in overall footprint in the sense that instead of having all the filter facets shown all the time, they're collapsed into a filter overlay shown here. This is just a screenshot of the existing filters, and they're for prototype purposes, they're just pasted onto here. So these don't actually, you can't actually interact with these. You can interact with, just as an example, like category 9 or 10, whichever of these categories, do apply filters, and you'll see that the filter applied state, in this case 99, is obviously not what we just applied, but X number applied, and then we can clear that. And then we can also search, and this will simulate kind of that, what that might look like. So I'm going to clear that, and then just refresh this to get back to my previous state. Also, we have the ability to sort by date added, and some other attributes, I believe by name. And then I will I'll go and highlight the show GL codes and the highlight exceptions. So currently in the existing production version of SmartStart, to see the GL codes for any given offer from the roster list, you have to hover over an icon. That icon doesn't exist anymore, but we do allow them to see it in line like this. And also on a overarching page level, we could do show geocodes, which will toggle on all the geocodes for any given offers that are displayed in a result set that's shown on screen. So we can also hide those as well. So also, and I'll be correcting the spelling here, it's highlight, Highlight. I was hoping to do a play on words with highlighter, but Copy decided that that wouldn't be a good idea, so which I support. When you toggle on highlight exceptions, you'll notice that an icon of a hand and a kind of yellow highlight row, if you will, or background color is applied to key information that used to, in the existing version, be highlighted in red or have red text with a presence of an exclamation triangle warning or not. It was kind of inconsistent. So the ability to kind of turn that off and turn it on, and also providing something that's not quite so jarring as red. In this case, we're doing yellow. We feel that will be useful as well. And then the import and export menu is the same as before. You can export for bulk user import. Basically, all the existing functionality around that is staying the same. We're just putting it into an import export menu instead of what I believe is currently a drop list labeled actions. I'm not sure. And a new offer, which will trigger the new offer workflow that already exists and will be redesigned next. So anyway, to get to kind of the heart of the roster list changes for the offer cards themselves, we have done a couple different things. First and foremost, we, as currently exists, we have the name front and center, well, front and left justified. But all the CTAs, or the primary CTAs, the calls to action, have been changed from they used to exist in the lower right hand corner and the lower left hand corner. They're consolidated into the upper right hand corner of each card. So each card will have an actions menu associated with it that will let you do whatever actions are available for that card, and expanding the card should not happen. It's just a bug with the prototype. This should actually overlay without increasing the card size, but it's just a prototyping issue that it's too much time to try and prototype out, given that we're just going to be coding this anyway and developing it. So that being said, there's the actions menu in the upper right hand corner. There is the collection or group of CTAs for any given offer card. So we have the primary, in this case it's a draft, so it's edit draft. In this case we have approve, deny, verify I9, and status such as rejected or whatnot, would also appear here when there are no CTAs or further actions available for that person or for that offer. So let's see. Next, we are separating out the what used to be a collection, horizontal collection of bubbles or circular icons that represented both the status of the packet for the crew member and also the approvals. They were linked, or they kind of put together in a linear flow. We separated that out such that approvals only is now what you see on the lower left in a linear left to right fashion, and then the offer status steps themselves are in a vertical fashion or orientation as you see here. And we are incorporating simpler icons such as, like, this is an example of pending, this is an example of completed. I believe down here, well, I don't have examples currently in this version of the mockup of the warning or things like that, but I do have them here. Let me see right here. So forgive me as I kind of derail or detour for a second. Here we go. So this is an example, not the final UI, but because that's being done by Brian. But here's an example of like pending completion, completed, immediate action required in red, and a marigold or orange, yellowish kind of warning placard for to be more of a gentle nudge or warning or scrutiny needed. So in this example, you'll see that I initially used that nudge or gentle warning for key information. So in things that needed scrutiny, but that is actually going to be replaced by what I showed you earlier, which is, going back to this, the highlight exceptions, which is the hand with the yellow highlighted row. So anyway, getting back to the offer status steps, here we have a couple different features. One is the number of steps that the person or crew may have completed. So in this case, steps 0 of 6. In another case, I believe there are, well, it would show any X number of steps completed out of Y number of steps total. That's variable. Once all the steps are completed, that would become a check mark. When the packet is sent to the crew, that becomes a check mark. When GL codes are validated, that becomes a check mark. And as I showed you earlier, same functionality as currently exists, but instead of having it on hover, we have it on click, and you can do it for on a one-off basis for each offer card, or you can do it on all offer cards or offer cards that are displayed in one fell swoop by using that toggle. And this toggle and the highlight exceptions toggle should remain sticky or persistent in that if I turn those on and I log out or whatever and I come back in, they should stay on if I left them on. Conversely, if I turn them off, log out, log back in, they should be off. So whatever the user, it's kind of like a passive user preference where it just stays in whatever state they left it. So next up, let me discuss the approvals icons. As I mentioned earlier, we're separating the approvals list from the offer status steps list. And in this case, you can see currently what we do is we have the first letter of each, like the first and last name of the person for single approvers. For approval levels where there's multiple people within an approver level, we just show an icon that, and this is to be determined by Brian, we show an icon that represents group or collection of people, more than one. And then if I want to view details on this, I can go ahead and click view details and it'll show just a quick little modal of what the position is, the person, the approval date, or if it's pending, it would say approval pending from, and then the the people that are included in that group. Now, if within a group John Giraffe approves this eventually, it would eventually just show JG with a check mark to indicate that John Giraffe has approved it. Because after the fact, it doesn't really do us any good or the user any good if to know that an approver level was a group of people or whatnot. So we're just showing that JG would have signed off on it with a check mark. And so this initial state is a group icon like this. And then the secondary state, approval state, would be the initials with a check mark like here. Now, this does not match this state, of course. Again, it's just a prototype. It's just to represent, examples. So let's see. Trying to think if there's anything. Okay, and one other piece of functionality on the offer status is uploads completed 4 of 4 or 1 of 4. The language on this I need to update to be uploads completed, and here I need to make this also uploads completed. Per content, we wanted to represent the task success state and the progression towards that. So uploads completed 1 of 4 would be what this reads as. So if I show this, again, it's not meant to be in parity between the number here and what's shown here in the prototype, because again, this is just a prototype, but the example here shows that, in this case, it's 3 of 4. Basically, these are the 4 documents that were defined by the initial offer creation that the crew member needed to submit, or with the ATL that the talent or agent needs to submit with their start paperwork. Assuming that we're in this and we want to look at a crew drill down page, we can click a name. All names in this case, oops, that's interesting. Okay, that shouldn't happen, but let's try that again. Okay, cool. So in this case, all names will, whichever name you click on that previous roster list will take you to Hugo Weaving. Again, this is just a prototype. Here at the top, you'll notice that there's the crew details header. There's a back, which will take us back to the offers list or the roster list. So, and then we have highlight exceptions, which again, this toggle, if it's on in the previous screen on the roster list, it should be on here. If I turn it off here, it should be off in the previous list as well. They shouldn't be disparate on in one and off in the other by default. It should just kind of maintain parity with whatever the user last chooses that to be. And then as currently exists, they can navigate between different crew members or offer cards in that previous roster list using the arrow buttons left and right here. So one thing you'll notice is that between the offer cards on the roster list, and when I click on this and show the crew details, this is pretty much the same. It's almost exactly the same with a few minor changes or nuances. One is crew audit trail, which will instantiate a full browser screen modal like we see here, which is the exact same functionality and UI as what we currently have, but we're just making it so that that link is available over here in the lower left corner of the offer card. And then also start packet documents. This is just a shortcut that will, if we click this, will take us down to the bottom where we have our start packet documents. By now you'll have noticed that this is a departure from the existing layout, which is the current layout on production has 2 columns. Left column has all the various different sections that need to be filled out, and then the right column has a variety of CTAs and random call out, well, not random, but kind of it's a mishmash of CTAs and other important information. And then also start packet documents is also listed on the right. So in this case, what we're doing is we're changing everything to 1 column. And let me just go and go back to the top real quick here. We're making it 1 column. And also each of the sections has its own kind of container. Same functionality as currently exists in the sense that within each section then I can edit the GL codes here if I want to. But some key things that are different are, I just discovered a bug in my prototype, so ignore that. Some key things that are different are that each of these sections or cards can be collapsed, so I can collapse them individually if I want. Spacing should be consistent, not like I have it here, it's a bug. Or if I want to, I can collapse all here, and that will collapse all of them. I can expand all, and that will expand all of them. Also, I have shortcuts up here in key information. Say I want to jump to computer rental. It's just an internal page hyperlink to take me down to computer rental or computer allowance, whatever it's called. And then I can also go back to top. And then cell phone, same thing. It'll take me down to cell phone allowance. Now, if all of these are collapsed, and then I want to look at cell phone, but that's collapsed, as you can see here, cell phone allowance is collapsed. If I click it, it'll jump me to that section and automatically expand it. So let's see. Also, another way to illustrate that would be if all of them are collapsed and I hit Start Packet Documents, it'll take me down there, it'll expand the panel inline, and then it'll show me all the contents. Now, the contents for Packet Documents is very similar to what we have now, with a slight adjustment, and that is, actually, no, I believe that, oops, okay, I have a bug in my prototype. Basically, each of these, yeah, there we go. Okay, I was clicking in the wrong place, but this preview and download functionality is what currently exists. It's just, yeah. So we list the documents instead of one column. We have multiple columns. So basically just spread across 4 different ones. And for mobile and stuff, this will just cascade such that, with a tablet, it might be 3 columns or 2 columns. And it just, the lengths, the heights vary. With mobile, it might just be 1 column, it should basically just follow typical CSS cascading principles. Here we also have the same functionality that currently exists, just kind of moved around within this panel to where we have download with data masks down here in the lower portion of the card. We can download everything in the Start Packet document collection as a zip. You can download documents which will instantiate this modal that currently exists. You can select what all you want. You want everything, or you want nothing, or one at a time. Again, you can choose whether data is masked or not. This selection here would override whatever they have selected back here. So if they have it selected here and then they unselect it here, and they download, the data would not be masked. So yeah, because this is just applicable to this little sub workflow. So they download and working and whatnot. So, and then they can also upload, same as before. So I believe that's it. Some other changes that apply to both roster list and the crew details page are the comments screen will be, or comments modal will be a full browser screen takeover, so to speak. And I say full browser screen as opposed to full screen because we're not launching the user into a full screen mode. We are just using the maximum available width and height, but still controlling it somewhat in the sense that we still see the EP SmartStart header up here, the project that we're in, and whatnot. Can't click on those because, well, okay, in this we can, but actually I believe I believe that will be clickable because this is a modeless modal, meaning that it can escape it without having to choose one of the decision points like close or whatnot. But if I type some comments here, add comment, it'll save it. And then at this point, I could either close it here or I could close it here or click out of it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Just to kind of reiterate, not all these key information details will be applicable to all candidates or crew offer cards. These are all dynamic. Additional detail points, I don't think there's anything special about that. This shows an example of what the old exception style was, and I need to update this to be the hand with the yellow highlight, like we see here. My apologies for not having done that yet, but just to kind of clarify, this should be the style that we apply for exceptions that are highlighted. So thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help answer anything that's not answered here, or if you need clarification on a state that doesn't exist, I can help you with that. And I'm here to support you for success. So thank you so much for your time and make it a great day.